All righty. So once again, thanks for showing up, guys. I can't wait to hear what your week has been like. So Jeanette, you've actually been on for quite a while. I got the notification that you had logged on like 15 minutes early. So we're going to start with you. So
Okay.
start with your water and your breathing. How's that going?
Water and breathing going very well. I will confess the sugar, I was very good about the sugar until about Tuesday, and just all hell broke loose in my life. and so, you know, I've tried to be cognitive, but like pizza sauce, I'm eating a slice of pizza and I realize I know I'm having refined sugar here. Even salad dressings, I realized it. So I was acknowledging it, but I just, from Tuesday on, I could not completely eliminate it. It's very difficult. It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm. It is. One of the things that I picked up from Eric's video, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, but over 60,000 food products, right? And 70% of them have added sugar. That's like a huge
Yeah.
number. So, and you've
Yeah.
had stuff going on in your life this week, I know. So don't beat yourself
Yeah.
up about it too badly. The thing that I would
Yeah.
think about right now is you're noticing this where 3 weeks ago you would not have.
That's kind of how I took it. Like, as I sat down and ate, first of all, I'm doing breathing exercises before I eat, make sure I hydrate before I eat. And then I just said, okay, I acknowledge that I'm eating my vegetables, my fruits like I'm supposed to. This is a no, this is a no. But for today, I'm giving it a pass, but in the future I will not. So that's kind of handled. And my son got a book that he wants me to read. Shoot. It's
I
from
don't know
the
that one.
guy who started Beachbody. What's that?
I said, I don't know that one. Shoot, shoot, shoot.
Shoot. It's about eating greens, specifically about eating greens. And on the cover, it's got a heart made out of romaine and kale.
Oh,
But it's from the gentleman who owns Beachbody, and he just did a healthy food tour with Zac Efron on Netflix. And I can't remember the name of the book, but it talks about how eating certain fruits and vegetables will really sustain you through and into a healthy life.
cool. Can you get the title from Kurt and post it up in the Facebook group for us?
Yeah, absolutely, I will.
That would be awesome. Awesome.
Okay,
So,
absolutely.
and how's your thumb?
Well, the good news is I don't think I'll lose my thumb. Yeah. The bad news is that, you know, I have limited mobility. So Stan, because you may not, and Linda, long story short, some life events happened this weekend. I was just trying to process it, and I was cutting an avocado, thinking about all these life things. And the knife went across the avocado seed and about 1.5 inches into my hand. And yeah, and I almost lost my thumb. But I can now move my hand, which is good, but it's completely numb right here. So,
Well,
and
Wow, I'm so sorry that happened.
you know what? I was not in the moment, but thank you. Thank you. And my son told me that avocados are dangerous little bastards. It's very common. It's very common. And I just wasn't present. But my what's it called? The big blender.
Vitamix?
Vitamix. That came in.
Cool.
And my son is doing all my food prep this week for me, so that because I'm still trying to not push my hand too much. But yeah, I'll know next week. I meet with well, the swelling should be down by then, and I'll have it evaluated to see what the next step is.
Good.
It's just, you know.
Well, it sounds like you're making progress on it, so that's really awesome. And then we're going to come back and talk about the buffer zone after everybody checks in. But before we move away from you, Jeanette, where do you think you are on the scale of allowing sugar at this moment? 1 low, 10 high. 1 being I'm done, I'm buckling down, and 10 being I'm still giving myself a bit of a pass.
Probably 5 to 6, if I'm going to be honest.
Well, good. Honesty is always good. I appreciate that.
Yeah. You know, I don't, well, like I have over here, my client brought in homemade caramel turtles, you know, the homemade caramel on top of roasted pecans with dark chocolate on it, because she knew I hurt my hand and she was feeling bad for me. And so I'm giving those suckers out like a pill pusher, like your local, you know,
Have you eaten
you
any?
know, it's one, because she sat there, would not leave until I ate one in front of her.
So
And I went,
you went, yeah,
go
tell me
ahead.
how that felt.
Well, I didn't want to eat it, but she sat here 2 hours and I realized, oh my God, she's not going to leave until I eat one. And so I ate it, and I'm not going to lie, it was absolute heaven. You know, we talk about caramel not working or being gross. You know, I stretched it out and you could taste the burnt sugar, and it was with Ghirardelli dark chocolates, and it was pretty fan-freaking-tastic. And I felt okay, but you know, the honesty is I'm on a ton of meds right now because of my hand. So I haven't been feeling awesome to begin with. So I really didn't notice a difference.
Mm-hmm. And I mean,
Because
if you'd had more than one, you likely would have.
yeah. But yeah,
We've al-
the antibiotics and everything hasn't made me feel awesome. So
yeah. Well, we've already seen what happens to you with, you know, kind of massive sugar consumption, both between the cinnamon French toast and what was the other thing you ate that was bizarre reaction?
well, the blue cheese, which you and I talked
Yeah.
about, but coffee.
Oh yeah, the coffee.
Yeah,
Well, which wasn't the
coffee.
coffee, it was all the dairy in it, so, and the sugar.
That's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah.
Cool. So let me ask you this question, because I just want to throw this one out there for you to think about. What would have happened if you had said to this woman,
Joel, you have enough
I
call
so
911.
appreciate
Joel,
you're
101,
doing this
please.
for me, but I have to share with you that I'm on a nutrition program that this just really doesn't fit. If you don't mind, I would love to take a taste and show my appreciation and then share with the rest of my coworkers. What would that have been like?
Well, that would have been spectacularly awesome if we were just dealing with logic.
So what were we dealing with, Jeanette?
So this is one of my clients who I absolutely love and adore, and she is a rocket scientist with NASA and Maston Aerospace Systems. Brilliant, brilliant girl. And for her to cook is a huge deal. Like, she made these just for me. This is someone who wears 2 different colored socks, because socks, the intention of socks is to keep your feet warm. It doesn't matter what they look like. So logic would be fine, but this was an emotional thing that she did. So, you know, if it was somebody else, I could totally do it, but she wouldn't have gotten it. So you got to kind of know your audience, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, the thing I'm going to throw back out there is, you know, Eric talks a lot about treating yourself, and you can treat yourself well or you can treat yourself badly. Just something to think about.
Yep, I will think about that in the future.
Yeah.
And
but I get, you know, I get where you are. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I know that, you know, she went out and bought all, and this is somebody who, by the way, has been in her house since February getting food delivered, has not left the house. Yeah. So for her to come to the office with this was like the first time she's been a big deal. Yeah. So, you know, but again, yes, I will be more cognitive, and I don't have a problem being stern, but in this particular case I did.
Got it. Cool. Nice. Stan, let's move on to you. Starting with your water and breathing, just for my little update.
Water's up to date. For some reason, my throat got kind of scratchy after the Alka-Geyser, which I finished about 15 minutes ago. So I'm upping the water intake. But I've had as much today as I would normally have had at this time of day. So I guess today I just need extra.
What was in your Alka-Geyser, Stan?
Celery, apple, lemon, cucumber, spring mix, and guacamole.
Which had the cilantro in it? Was that?
I don't know. I don't think this was. This was great guac from Walmart, and I don't think it had cilantro.
Okay, and you've been using that before, so this was not a change.
This actually was the first time. Yeah.
So I would say go read the package, double check the ingredients, and see if there's something weird in there that might be triggering the scratchy throat.
Okay. Well, that
Just in
makes
case.
sense.
Just in case. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Well, actually, I can simplify that. It's the second half of the Alka-Geyser I had yesterday, and
Which
I
did
didn't
not
have
have an
that
issue.
yesterday.
Okay, good.
Right.
Okay.
So I think it's more likely some particles went down the wrong way,
Could be. Could be. Cool.
which says I need to chew it more. Yeah. I forgot to breathe this morning, but I did it while we were checking in. And sugar-wise, I've actually I can't remember now whether I took advantage of the buffer zone after Friday night. Friday night was the eclair, and that was planned, and it was good. But I kind of knew that was it for sugar. I know that I have not had any sugar from Monday on because I've been carefully reading labels, although it's not much fun.
Actually,
But it's what I need to do.
I'll refresh your memory for you. You did not
Okay.
have sugar after the eclair on Friday, because when you checked in on Monday,
Okay.
you said you just did the eclair.
Okay. All right. Good. I had forgotten. But I knew what had gone on in the past week. It hasn't actually been as hard as I thought it would be. I do kind of have passing thoughts, and especially after supper, I sort of want something sweet. But there isn't anything sweet in the house, so that kind of rules that out. And I know we aren't supposed to have fruit after we've had concentrated food, so I don't even have fruit after supper. And I can kind of, the food devil doesn't try very hard, I think, to make me do that. I don't know if everybody's seen the video, but I'm a little more worried about the coming week. But I'll hold that for now.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. I'm sorry.
So on your scale, I think I was at a 10. Was 10? No, I was on a 1 with actually no sugar.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out why my computer is ringing when it shouldn't be, because I'm on Do Not Disturb. And I apparently can't make it stop. So sorry, bear with me for just a moment. And oh, thank God it stopped. Seriously, I unplugged my phones. I put the computer on Do Not Disturb. My phone is on Do Not Disturb because I really feel it's disrespectful to have things ringing. So sorry about that. So
I was just saying on your sugar scale, I think I was at a 1.
Good, good. So anything else for you at the moment?
No, I have a question, but it relates to next week, so I'll hold that until we're talking about next week.
Okay, cool, perfect. Linda, happy Friday to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Same to you and everybody else.
So how you going with water and breathing?
Water and breathing are good.
Good.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
How's that sugar thing working out?
It's easy for me. I just don't do it. So I'm not eating any of it. I had one little mishap that was unintentional. My son made like this Instapot, whatever I have there, pork, right? And he's making tacos and stuff. Well, I just ate some of the meat, right? And it was so good, so delicious. Only to find out he snatched some of my pineapple and put it in there. It was in the evening and I didn't realize it's on a piece of pineapple in my mouth. I was like, oh no. that was my only mishap. But no, I went shopping. It was very difficult to find things with no sugar in it. We were having barbecued ribs, right? But so I did find a couple that had no sugar. And it says sugar-free, so I'm looking for all the chemicals to make it sweet, and there wasn't any on a couple of them.
Good.
And so, and it tasted pretty good. Even my husband thought it was pretty good.
So take a picture and post it up so that we can see what you're finding. So
Okay.
that, because one of the things that happens, guys, is if we're sharing, and I've got a couple of those I'm gonna put up as well from labels that I pulled when I was in Costco. If we're sharing those things, then if we know that something is actually sugar-free, we don't have to read every single label when we're in that aisle.
Right.
right? We can just grab that thing and say, oh, okay, we already know this is fine.
Right. So anyways, I went and bought my protein powder. I was completely out, and then I watched the video and just I was $75 out the door right now. So I will be, I saw that video giving up dairy, and I was, at first I'm like, oh, there goes the milk. Immediately going.
Hang on, we're not there yet.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Let's finish sugar first.
Okay.
So you've been keeping up with your fruit and your alkagizer, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And except for the mishap with the piece of pineapple, on a scale of 1 low, 10 high, you'd say staying away from sugar is a
1.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good deal. And oh, by the way, there are no right or wrong answers on any of this stuff, guys. And one of the things that's really important to remember is that we're all at different places in our lives with what's been going on and whatever. So some weeks are better than others. And probably the most important thing any of us can do is, if we think we've had a slip or a mishap or a semi-conscious choice to not do what we know we're supposed to be doing, it's okay. Forgive yourself. You didn't really fall off the wagon. You dangled a leg over the edge. Drag it back up.
Or dangled a thumb.
Or dangled a thumb, yeah. Drag it back up and get right back on where you need to be. And that's the thing that makes WildFit so different from every other diet program out there, because none of them really take this aspect, which is the most important part, of what's going on emotionally, what's going on physically, really being conscious and conscientious about how you're responding to these things. So a lot of what we're doing has been, so far, because we just started removing stuff this week. So a lot of what we've been doing has been all about really increasing your nutritional load so that you are in a better nutritional position than you were in before we started the program. And we do that because we don't want to start eliminating things right off the bat and make it that much more difficult. Can you imagine what it would be like if we had told you on day one, get rid of all refined sugar? How hard would that have been? Anybody?
It would have been definitely a little harder because I would not have been mentally prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And so the preparedness, knowing it's coming, really helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And seriously, increasing the nutritional load makes a huge difference. Jeanette?
The thing I thought was, I don't eat cookies. I don't eat fudge other than the truffle or whatever you want to call it that people bring. I don't do it. I'm like, it's not going to be a problem. I got this. Holy crap. There is sugar in my sun-dried tomatoes. There's sugar in my olives. There's sugar here. Well, crap. So, that's the thing that kind of pisses me off a little bit. Gets me going.
What kind of sugar in your olives? What kind of olives are you getting with sugar in them?
They're called Manzanita olives. Big
Oh.
monster. Mm-hmm. The name of the book, by the way, is called Super Life by Darren Olean. And I'll try and post it. Super Life.
Cool.
But it's the title is The 5 Simple Fixes That'll Make You Healthy, Fit, and Eternally Awesome. But it's about nutrition. It's about
Darren, what's his last name?
Olean. Olien.
Cool. I'll add it to my list.
Mm-hmm.
You can't ever have too many things to read.
No,
I'm thinking
not at
about
all.
starting a book club, by the way. Anybody interested?
Me. I am.
In theory, I'd say yes, but then I know that I won't be able to do it.
I recommend audiobooks.
Yes, well, that's what I do. But I do audiobooks to put me to bed at night. I'll
Mm.
listen to it and drift off, and then where was I? So I could pretend like I'm going to do it because I do love reading, but yeah, the idea sounds spectacular, but I know I won't be able to do it.
Nice to be honest. Always good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do audiobooks whenever I'm driving and I'm not engaged in a phone conversation with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I cover a lot of ground that way. I also do audiobooks when I'm out walking in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I can get through more stuff. So kind of cool. So a couple of things I want to talk about from today's video before we talk about the enhancements. So my first question is, and I think the answer is yes for all of you, so you can just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. As you've gone through this week with, eliminating the refined sugars, do you feel like the sugar monster is getting smaller?
Mm-hmm.
Cool, good. I mean, that's what we're working for. One of the things that Eric said in the video today, so has everybody seen the video? Okay, Stan, Linda has. You're going to get some spoilers, Jeanette. One of the things that Eric said today is that, and I love this thought, what we know about sugar now could potentially have kept it from getting FDA approval as a food, or even if it did get approved as a food, have some serious limits put on it. And I think that's very, very true. He's talked about the number of type 2 diabetics now versus in the 70s, being about 20 million with either type 2 or prediabetes. One of the things that he said today is that the vast majority of those people are spending about $1,000 a year just on medications to deal with having the condition. So part of the issue with all of the stuff that's happened to us is that sugar is just an incredibly profitable industry on a bunch of different levels. First of all, for the food producers, they're obviously making a ton of money from it, but also for medications and then for treatments for all of these diseases that are caused that really are pretty preventable for the most part. So it's some interesting stuff to think about in terms of the perspective of what we're putting in our mouths. What do we really want to be fueling our bodies with, So I want to make that a really big point. The food industry knows that we are preconditioned through our genetics, through our DNA, through our evolutionary history to crave sugar, because in our history, it was very rare that we would find it. So we were conditioned. I mean, we were made to eat as much sugar as we could get when we could get it. So pretty big deal to think about it in that context. Now we've got 1 in 3 people that are dying from heart disease, where in the 60s there was already evidence showing that the vast majority of heart disease is caused primarily by sugar. But sugar turned around and pinned heart disease on fat. We know that fat is not the enemy. Yes, it can contribute to heart disease especially if you're eating all the wrong fats. But yeah, it's not really the enemy. And I'll keep coming back to that over and over and over again. So let's talk about the enhancements for this week. Oh, I should go back and look and see who was most concerned about what we're giving up this week.
I was concerned.
Jeanette was concerned and Dana was concerned. It was not on, well, part of it was not on your radar, Linda, at all. Yep, some of it's on Stan's radar too. So, what are we giving up? We're
Dairy
giving up
and grain.
We're giving up dairy and junk sugars. So we already got rid of all the refined sugar. Okay, that's the stuff that sugar gets added to. Now we're getting rid of the junk sugars. So that includes things like bread, pasta, rice, and potatoes. Those are all junk sugars. They essentially just convert immediately to sugar once you eat them. How's that make you feel?
Panicked. What's left to eat? No dairy?
Oh, we haven't even talked about dairy yet. We'll come back to that. These are just the junk sugars. Now,
Junk.
the junk, yeah. You've got something to say about this, Jeanette, I can tell.
No. It's, that's the staple of my people, bread and potatoes, but that's what I grew up on, bread and potatoes.
Well, that's because nobody knows how to cook in Czechoslovakia, right? Isn't that what you said? The food is like
Well,
nasty.
no. We can cook. You just may not particularly care for it.
Well, that's going to kind of be your theme for this week, too. You can
Okay.
cook, and you're likely going to be finding and trying out lots of different things. Fair enough?
Yep.
How about you, Stan? Where do you fall on the junk sugars spectrum?
So when you say junk sugars, those are the things that we learned to call starches, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm going to do it because I'm committed to the program, but I'm not 100% convinced of the need. I mean, I think about the Mediterranean diet, and Italians eat pasta all the time, and supposedly they're healthy, healthier than we are anyway.
Well, it's
But
interesting.
I'm going to
Go ahead.
go
Sorry.
ahead.
No, you first.
But we're supposed to give it up, and so I'm going to give it up.
Okay, so let's talk about the Italians for a little bit. So the Italians eat pasta on a somewhat regular basis, but they eat a whole lot less of it than we do. So they eat pasta as a very small side dish,
Mm-hmm.
whereas we eat it as a giant plateful. That's what we've been taught. And there is definitely a high sugar load in pastas. So, and remember, we're taking vacations from stuff right now. We're not saying don't ever eat it again, but we want you to really get the feeling of what it's like to not have some of these things, because we've become very ingrained to ignoring how we feel from most of what we eat, both physically and emotionally. So we're taking a vacation in part just so that you can get used to what it feels like to not have this stuff, so that when you decide to have it again, you'll be able to pay attention and then make an informed decision about what you really want. Jeanette?
So I used to live in Italy,
Uh-huh.
and their approach to food is so different from ours. It's crazy. So first of all, a dinner is an event. Every dinner, every lunch or riposo is an event. So dinner is 5 courses every night. Your first course is a grilled vegetable. And then once that's gone, then you wait a few minutes. Then you get the second, which is your salad. And then that goes away. Then the third is your pasta. And then that goes away. Then it's your protein. And then it's usually dessert, which is like cantaloupe, like a prosciutto wrapped cantaloupe, or a limoncello sorbet or something very small. But the plates are like this big. They're itty bitty. They're tiny. And they walk everywhere. The cost of having a car in Italy is amazing. I had a Land Cruiser over there, and they thought that I was the wealthiest woman on the face because you pay based on the weight of your car. So my taxes were astronomical, and they thought I drove a moving van. Why do you drive a moving van? This makes no sense to us. But so they do eat pasta, and the pasta that you buy, the box stuff, that's if you are having a crummy day and you don't have time. Most of them make their own pasta
From actual fresh ingredients. So yeah, so there's definitely a difference.
Yeah.
And it may be that you decide eventually that pasta has a much smaller place in your life than you otherwise would have thought that it did. And it may not be that, you'll get to make that choice. But for now, we're going to take a vacation just for a little while.
Well, I understand the point about giving our body a chance to recover from all of the messages that it's been sending about how bad everything is, so that we can learn to recognize those messages when the body is able to kind of reset. So that part makes sense to me, and I will keep reminding myself of that when I'm giving up the things that I'm giving up this week.
Good. So, and one of the things that he mentioned in the video that really kind of hit me was, we eat for nourishment. I mean, that's the point of eating, right? But the vast majority of our food decisions are based on our emotions. So the most important thing that we can figure out how to do is find other ways than food to achieve those emotional states. And that's why we want to be paying so much attention to how what's the meaning behind a particular food. Jeanette?
I'm sorry, my receptionist popped in. I had a problem on my phone. So I honestly wasn't listening.
Oh, that's fine. I just saw you on mute and I thought you had a comment. You're fine.
No.
Cool. Okay, so we are taking out the junk sugars, the bread, the pasta, the rice, the potatoes, white potatoes, okay? But you can leave in root vegetables. So carrots, sweet potatoes, parsnips, rutabagas, all that stuff, beets, that's all fine. You can also leave in honey. And of course, your fruit is going to stay in this week as well, just as we have been doing first thing in the morning. But then the next thing is that all dairy comes out. So I know for both Linda and Jeanette, that's probably a little bit more of an issue. Stan, how are you feeling about the dairy removal?
Well, milk I can do without, but giving up cheese and butter is going to be tough.
Yeah, the butter was the only thing that I had an issue with really when I did this for my 90-day challenge. And what I did was, in large part, I just substituted avocado. Like if I was going to put butter on toast, I just smear some avocado on toast instead. Of course, we're not eating toast, but.
Sally?
Yeah.
We have ghee.
Nope, that's butter.
But there's no dairy particulates in ghee.
I'm not going to argue. It originates from butter. It's clarified butter. That's what ghee is.
But it pulls all the dairy product out of it.
Find some reference and show that to me, because I've never heard that before.
Okay, that's what I heard. Okay, I'll see if I can find something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's all a joke. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, when I say butter, I didn't actually have butter in the house. All I had was ghee. That's all I've been using for a number of years.
Okay.
And it says very clearly clarified butter. So if you can find something, post it up for us and we'll check it out. So you said milk's not an issue for you, Stan, but you're concerned about, I lost track, my bad.
That's okay. Cheese and butter.
Cheese and butter.
So I've got some cheese in the house. I mean, I know what butter tastes like. I know what cheese tastes like too. I misspoke. I've got some cheese and butter in the house, and I think I'm going to use the weekend, or at least the first part of the weekend, to really, really notice what my body tells me after I eat them, and that may make it easier to give them up too.
Yeah, true enough.
Or it may not. But I'll find out.
Yeah, and if you've got a fair amount of butter, butter freezes really well. So you could just throw it in a Ziploc bag and throw it in the freezer if you want.
Most of it's already in the freezer.
Okay.
I don't go through it very fast, so when I buy a pound, it goes in the freezer, and then I pull out one stick at a time every few weeks.
Gotcha. So Jeanette, for you, what's your biggest concern in getting rid of dairy?
So dairy, not a big deal other than cheese, because like milk, I've given milk up. I use almond milk. We gave that up a long time ago. The cheese, you and I actually had a conversation about the cheese this weekend, which cracks me up to this day. So for those of you, Friday night I went to Veritas before everything crashed in our little household. But so my friend got there before me, and so she ordered the cheese platter, and she got the brie and the blue cheese, and I sit down and I could smell the blue cheese, and I went, oh, it smells really good. I took a bite, and before I took a bite of it, all I kept hearing is 1 out of every 5 cows have an infection in their breast, and then pus. I'm looking down, I go, bacteria. Well, what is blue cheese? The bacteria. Eat it, just eat it, Jeanette. And I ate 1 bite and went, oh, it tastes really disgusting. Well, have another bite, maybe it'll get better. And I took another bite and went, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And it was a warm night, and the breeze kept floating over the blue cheese. And this is something that I've loved since childhood, honey and blue cheese. It was something we used to have as a treat. And so anyhow, so it's sitting there, and it's literally smelling like an open wound to me. I'm like getting disgusted by it. And I tell my friend, I can't eat the blue cheese. It is really not sitting well. And she's like, this is a trick. you want me to eat the blue cheese, so I have to pay for the cheese platter. You don't, she's another check. She's like, you don't trick me. I'm like, no, really, I can't eat it. So she ate the blue cheese, and I was sitting there thinking, how can you tell when blue cheese goes bad? And so then I'm like, but I'll eat the brie. I'll eat the brie. I get 2 bites into the brie, and I'm like, this has the consistency of pus. Ugh! And so I couldn't eat the brie either. So I sat there, and that night my stomach hurt. I was absolutely just in pain. And I called my dad up the next day and said, Dad, I got a theory I need to share with you. And he goes, what? And I go, I think this guy named Eric has secretly hypnotized me to have a physical reaction to cheese. And my dad just starts laughing and laughing. I'm telling this. And I go, remember when you got hypnotized by the great Kreskin? And he goes, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And there are key words that would make my dad pop up and have a reaction. And my dad goes, maybe, Jeanette, he didn't hypnotize you, but he taught you the safe word. So now all of the marketing from all of the years, from you getting dairy and sugar and thinking it's a good thing, this Eric guy has taught you the word, the code word, which now makes you realize it's all been hypnotized from marketing. I went, huh. So the cheese, I'm actually disgusted by cheese right now.
So,
and I hope I stay that way.
That's a big issue. And
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge that, you know, thinking about it in terms of learning the safe word to overcome all the marketing, I think is really pretty brilliant. Pretty brilliant.
Yeah. So my dad and I joke, pus. That's the safe word.
Yep.
Pus. So anytime my dad says pus, I get disgusted by cheese. So.
Good.
And the joke was, for about a year, when you say, is it hot in here? My dad would jump up because he'd been to a hypnotist and for whatever reason it stuck. And so anytime he said, is it hot in here? My dad would jump. So anyway.
So how about you, Linda? Where are you landing on the cheese issue?
I have this odd dialogue with myself that I noticed today. So I learned about the pus in the mouth. I've learned about, you know, the addiction to cheese. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to have it anyways. Oh, you're learning all this stuff. You're going to enjoy eating this and knowing that something else is controlling you. I mean, we went back and forth. And I had the cheese sandwich and it was delicious. So that was kind of a different dialogue that I have. So it just goes to show me I'm in denial because I really don't want to give up that cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked myself into going to eat it, but today's Friday, so Eric said I could, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I don't like that dialogue. I don't like me dismissing what I'm learning and thinking, oh, no big deal, I can't see it. You know, I don't like going there. It's very tricky.
It's very, very tricky.
Yeah.
So I would say in that case, you let the food devil hold the talking stick a little bit longer than maybe you really wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But you're thinking about it, and that's what really counts. You know, you're learning new stuff. You're learning to think about what it is that you're eating differently,
Mm-hmm.
that you'll be able to get different results in the long term. So it's good awareness all the way around. So starting with you, Linda, how are you planning to handle the buffer zone?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I have cottage cheese in the refrigerator that needs to go because I'm the only one that eats it. So probably I will start, it's probably what we have for dinner, breakfast tomorrow and lunch and dinner. And then on Sunday, on Sunday I'll start. My only concern is, what do you eat? So I hope you help us.
We'll come back to it. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to give you some ideas around some things.
Okay.
Cool. What about you, Stan? What are you planning to do with the buffer zone? Do you have a thought around it yet?
Well, I'm partly going to eat at least some of the cheese that's in the house because well, for one thing, I hate to. I know this is not a good reason, but I sort of hate the idea of throwing food away, and I'm suspecting that some of it's going to have to get thrown away because there's more than I would really want to eat. But I think in a positive sense, I'm going to kind of use eating some of it to really pay attention to how I feel, because I will confess that yesterday when I had some brie and bread, I didn't really pay much attention to it. It wasn't automatic exactly, but it was mostly enjoyment. I didn't like pay attention to my body's reaction. So that I'll pay more attention to.
So I'll tell you what.
So that's kind of my plan is to ease into it, but not just for the sake of saying I'm going to get as much of these things as I can now before I give them up, but more to try them moderately and really pay more attention, because I kind of haven't been.
Gotcha. No, I think that's a great approach. And I would say this, because you have so graciously invited me for dinner, why don't we have a small cheese appetizer? Small for me. Have whatever you want. I haven't had any cheese in months, so I wouldn't mind making the experiment to see what that looks like and feels like at all, which will also help you reduce some of your quantity, if you like. You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I think we can do that.
I'm here for you. I just, I want to take one for the team. Just kidding. But I think it would be interesting as to what that looks like.
I'm sorry, say again?
I said I think it would be interesting for both of us to see what that looks like. For me, because it's been so
Okay.
long since I've had any cheese at all. And yeah, that'd be, if you're up for it, that'd be kind of nice.
Okay.
And I think you've got a good plan for getting through the weekend. Jeanette, what are your plans for the buffer zone, knowing what you're going to be setting aside on Monday at the latest? You're muted.
Sorry, they keep calling over the intercom. I don't want to bother you guys.
Gotcha.
Tonight we're having chili, and I might put some cheese on there, but then I'm done. I usually use olive oil instead of butter. So I don't think the dairy is going to be a problem. It's the bread, it's the potatoes. So I might allow myself that this weekend, make one last big baked potato, and then it's done.
For now.
For now. Mm-hmm.
So when you think about the cheese that you're thinking about putting on the chili,
Mm-hmm.
you've just told us about how horrible you felt from the cheese that you ate. So I'm curious, why would you want to be adding it to the chili? Just curious.
Well, I typically don't. Just to try it, get it out, and I don't know. Maybe I won't even do it. But we'll see how it goes. I like chili. It's really good. Traditionally, onions, oyster crackers, which I have to get rid of. That's a junk starch, and the cheese. So yeah. So I'll just probably have it.
Yeah,
But
just pay attention to it. See how you feel.
Yeah, the cheese. Although I will tell you, as fall gets near, homemade tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches is like my favorite thing in the world. But I'll just have to find a new favorite.
Yep.
Like I had cauliflower crust the other day with no cheese, vegetable pizza. Fan-freaking-tastic.
Yeah, that's the good stuff.
That is.
Sally, can I make a comment? Refresh my memory, the side effects of cheese.
Linda, hang on one second. Sorry. Did you say homemade tomato soup?
Yep.
Would you please post a recipe for us?
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Okay. I will try and remember to do that. Sticky note.
Linda, go ahead.
Oh, the side effects of cheese, did I not hear it was an addiction, but did I also hear that it affects you, making you sleepy afterwards? Did I hear that? Or was that just something, I don't recall.
I don't recall having heard that specifically, but it wouldn't surprise me that it has that effect.
Okay.
In the dairy realm, one of the things I want to make sure that we do talk about before we wind up today is the whole thought process that we were trained to eat dairy so that we would get our calcium.
Mm-hmm.
And what Eric makes really, really clear in the video in a lot of detail is that historically, that's not where our calcium comes from. That's nothing but a marketing ploy. And in fact, the reality is that what it does, instead of causing strong bones, healthy bodies, puts calcium into your bloodstream, which is not where it belongs, and causes even more problems, which is why the incidence of milk drinking, dairy eating countries have the highest, the people that have the most milk and dairy throughout the world also have the highest incidence of hip fractures, which is a true indicator of osteoporosis. And, you know, just hearing that again was like, wow, that is a really, really big deal. And that's one of the things that made it much easier for me to give up cheese.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't really want calcium floating around in my bloodstream. I'd much rather get it from my fruits and vegetables. And
You know, it was so interesting, and I had no idea, is how he was talking about how it's cyclical, how you get your calcium, right?
yeah,
And then milk is a constant acid pulling it, you know, not paying back the loan, but taking money back, right? So I thought about that, and I said, Jesus Christ. And then the mustache, you know, good for you. That was just brilliant. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, good for me. I'm drinking milk. Yeah. So that was pretty impactful.
yeah. And the other piece of this for you, Jeanette, since you haven't seen the video yet, is when we talk about the seasonality of calcium production. So basically, we float pH level between acidic and alkaline in our systems. And basically, when we're acidic, we're taking calcium out of our skeleton to balance the acidity with alkalinity. So we produce calcium carbonate to balance the acidity with an alkaline. But then when we start eating, you know, more vegetables, we're able to repay that bank, right? Put it back into our skeletons because we don't need it to balance acidity at that point. So all the calcium we've got in our diet then goes into building our bones, which was, again, a pretty powerful way for me to think about what's actually happening with that stuff. So cool video today. I think you'll enjoy it when you get to it. Yes, ma'am.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't our immune system based in our structural system, our bones, the bone marrow itself? That's where like most, yeah, that's where our blood production and all that comes from. Okay.
Large part of it, yeah, for sure. Which is why we want to, you know, we want to get our nutrition up to the point consistently where we are feeding our immune system most effectively, and especially in a pandemic, right? If not all the time, why not all the time? So Linda, you wanted to talk about what you can eat.
Yeah, what's for dinner, Sally?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to Stan's house.
We're all going to Stan's house. We'll help him go through that cheese.
Come on down. It's only a 6-hour drive. No big deal. So things that you can eat. Obviously salads, right? Obviously alkalizers. That stuff's all easy. Plenty of root vegetables. For example, I like making toast out of sweet potatoes. So all you do is take a sweet potato and slice it, you know, like about 1/3 of an inch thick or a little less. And I kind of do it on a bias so I get a nice piece, big piece, and put it in your toaster oven or air fry it. Cook that up a little bit and you can top it with all kinds of things. Almond butter is one of my favorites. I love almond butter and cinnamon on sweet potatoes. But you can do all kinds of different things with it. You know, you can do chopped up sauteed vegetables, lots and lots of different choices. So that's one thing that might be a little bit different. I'm gonna post a recipe a little bit later, hopefully later today, for cauliflower stirred fried rice, which is one of my favorite go-to meals because it's so incredibly versatile. You can use any vegetables you want. And I find, actually for me, at this point in my nutritional journey, I prefer the cauliflower rice to regular rice. It doesn't taste cloying. It doesn't taste, you know, so it doesn't taste cloying. It doesn't like cause gut problems for me. It doesn't fill up my stomach inappropriately and make me feel bloated and all of that kind of stuff. So I eat a ton of cauliflower. I know not everybody's a fan, but there is so much. It's a really, really versatile vegetable. Lots and lots of soups. So, you know, if you're a cauliflower fan, one of my favorites is cauliflower celery soup. Super easy to do. And when you want to turn something into a cream soup, you use an immersion blender. And if you want it creamier, add some coconut milk. So
I watched your video. That was very good.
Yeah, so there's lots and lots of different ways to be able to do all different kinds of things. And you know, for me, depending on how complicated I want it to be, how much time I'm willing to spend in the kitchen, I think one of the videos I posted was a creamy spring vegetable soup, and for that one, I went through the effort of lightly sautéing diced vegetables separately and then adding them back in after I had pureed the soup. Now, that's like, you know, 5 minutes more worth of effort, so I don't do that all the time, but sometimes I do. Just depends on what I'm in the mood for. You can eat all the seafood you want. Wild caught preferably, right? Because the farm stuff really is not good for you. You can eat all the protein you want. And so truthfully for me, this was the week where I switched from being whole food plant-based for the previous 2.5 years to being a flexitarian. Because for me, it became a little bit difficult to get all of the nutritional bulk, not nutrients, but the nutritional bulk that I wanted to not feel hungry just from eating plants. So, you know, you can eat protein. One of the things I've learned is I don't need to eat protein every day, you know, like a protein, a meat source, an animal source. But yeah, lots and lots of different choices. So what's the first thing that comes to mind that you think you'll be missing that you can't eat, Linda?
My grilled cheese sandwich, my half a grilled cheese sandwich. And I'm tomato soup freak too, tomato soup with basil. Progresso has a really nice one. So I just want to learn to make it now.
Yeah. Yeah, check the label on the tomato soup.
I did.
Added sugar.
Couldn't eat it.
And dairy.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was dairy, but I know there was sugar in it. It's like rats.
Yeah, that was one of the things that really annoyed the crap out of me when I did my challenge, because I used to buy the Trader Joe's organic tomato soup as one of the things I kept in the pantry, so I'd have something if I just didn't feel like putting a meal together. And when I got to this stage last week, and I went and looked at the box, I'm like, 8 grams of added sugar per cup of soup.
And you drink the whole thing, right? You eat the whole
I at least half of it, and I would often eat the whole thing. Yes.
Yeah.
What an incredible sugar load, completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
So yeah, the grilled cheese sandwich, that's going to be a thing. I don't know how to give you a substitute for that. You know, there just really isn't one.
Well, what I noticed, Sally, is without the sugar, I'm like, okay, the comfort is the crunch, right, and the creaminess. So if I could find, like, that's what I was thinking, well, maybe like a basil soup, you know, made with the coconut milk or something will help with that. It's the crunch. Yeah.
So think about also things like sliced cucumbers, sliced carrots. I made an amazing spinach and artichoke dip.
Yeah, if you could share that. I remember you telling us about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's completely Wild Fit friendly. Yeah, that's a lot of sugar, Jeanette. 1.6 teaspoons of sugar per cup of soup.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. But would you get a bowl of soup
and put sugar in it
and start dumping a teaspoon and a half of sugar in it? That's just crazy. It's crazy, I tell you. So what about you, Stan? Is there something in particular that you're concerned about setting aside that you'd like to have an alternative for?
I really like to crumble blue cheese on my salads. I don't put a lot in, but I like that accent. And I'm not sure. I mean, I know that there are completely different things I can put in, like slivered almonds, for example, but something that will kind of give the same tang and mouthfeel as a little bit of blue cheese, I don't really see an alternative. So if you know one, I'd love to hear about it.
I don't offhand, but the thing that occurs to me in terms of tang is more in line of a vinaigrette, because that'll get you some of the tang. And yes, I mean, you're right. It's things like sliced almonds, hemp hearts, pine nuts, any of that kind of stuff. It's pretty hard to duplicate the mouthfeel of blue cheese. Although based on Jeanette's experience this week, I'm not sure I want to. Just saying. So yeah, I mean, those would be my initial suggestions. I'll give that some more thought and see what else. And of course, you know, if you guys think of something else as well, post it up for us. What about for you, Jeanette? What are you most concerned about having to say goodbye to this week that maybe you'd like a substitute for?
Bread. The cauliflower rice, love it, because unlike regular rice, it's still moist the next day and the day after.
Yeah.
So whereas stir-fried rice, it's gone the next day. So, you know, I don't have a problem with the rice. But yeah, it's bread. And the pastas, you know, I'm kind of a pasta snob because I had homemade pastas growing up and stuff. So that's fine. But yeah, bread. And white potatoes. So what about a yellow potato? Is it not a?
Still a white potato.
It's still white.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything's a white potato except for yams and sweet potatoes.
Okay.
Okay. Because you said white, I wanted to make sure I had clarification.
Yeah.
And as far as ghee, I was thinking, you know, what you're talking about doesn't have any dairy particulates in it. I'm thinking that was exactly what I told myself when I ate like processed cheese, or not processed cheese, but cheese. All that crap's been cooked out of it. It's been sitting there forever. It's going to be fine. But no, I had a bad reaction to it.
So when you say bread, Jeanette?
Yeah.
Talk to me about your bread habit.
It's really just for lunch. You know, so actually I've gotten a little bit out of there. So for breakfast, I have the fruit, and the Alka-Seltzer has become kind of my lunch, which is fabulous because I'm like 2 for 1. I get everything I need and I have it prepped and ready to go. So that's 2 less things I have to think about every day. But so usually for dinner, I have either bread or a sandwich, you know, if we're running late, like a Subway sandwich, or even if it's a vegetarian sandwich, it's still on bread. So that's the big thing. And I don't eat tortillas because they're awful.
Yeah, that still counts as bread.
Yeah.
So in terms of sandwiches, years ago, for the most part, I started giving up the bread, and if I wanted to be able to hold a sandwich, I just had it wrapped in lettuce.
Okay.
It's crunchy. It works.
Yeah. That might be where it's more about discipline then, honestly, until I break the habit. But, you know, I know that when you're going through chemo, they say no soy, dairy, sugar, gluten, alcohol, period. Yep.
There's a reason.
So I just, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I just need to, anyway.
Question, Sally,
sure.
Is I'm still following what you've said. I mean, to have the fruit, drink the Alka-Seltzer, but then eat breakfast and then eat lunch. You know, I'm still doing that. Do we stop at one point? Because I'm eating absolutely, but I'm not even hungry.
So if you feel like the fruit and the Alka-Seltzer are getting you through the morning and then you want to just have lunch, that's fine.
Okay, so I can give up a meal.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm waiting for instruction, right? So I'm following, and I'm walking around going, oh, I'm 9 months pregnant, rubbing my tummy.
And paying attention to it. And that's what really counts. So yeah. So you're at the point now where if you don't want to keep eating that, that's fine. That's fine. Cool. All right. We're a little bit over time today. Thank you for your indulgence. Stan, I just want to check back with you. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye? You had a question. Did we get it answered?
The question was, what vegetables are high in calcium? Or fruits, for that matter.
Good question. I honestly don't know offhand.
I'll Google it and post.
Perfect.
Leafy greens are, and Sally, he said something about eating more leafy greens this week. So I maybe even different leafy greens. So what else tastes good in a shake? Because I don't even know what chard tastes like. You know what I mean? So what else?
I love chard. I don't think chard has a, to me, you like spinach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, chard to me is very similar to spinach. I think of spinach as being semi-sweet. A lot of people think it's bitter. I don't think it's bitter. I think kale is slightly bitter, but I think spinach and chard are both slightly sweet. And I don't know, that may not be the best description of how I think about it, or, what it really is, but that's how it seems to me. So you would have no problem, I think, substituting chard for spinach, or, adding some combination of.
Okay.
Collard greens, mustard greens, radish tops.
Just because I can and I like it.
Sorry, that was you.
That was me. I heard me. Are you multitasking?
Well, I was trying to look up why you didn't put mayonnaise in your egg salad, correct?
I did.
You did. Okay. That's why I was curious. Because now that's because what is mayonnaise? Is that oil and egg?
Uh-huh. And I posted a recipe for mayonnaise today too.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was just making sure. I was just trying to follow because I am so far behind. I am multitasking, but it's all wild fit multitasking.
There you go. Yeah. So no, it's the video is called Mayonnaise in a Minute.
Okay.
And
I'll look at that.
It's in the recipes unit. Cool. Are we good?
Yes, thank you.
So we will see you back here at 12 o'clock on Monday. Post up
Okay.
over the weekend anything that's going on, and my apologies for having been kind of absent. I wound up having to be out of the office basically 2 days in a row on Wednesday and Thursday. So I got a bit behind, but I think I'm caught up on Facebook right now for everybody. So cool. Thank you all so much. Keep up the great work. Did you have one?
We're just meeting Monday, Fridays from now on, right?
Until the very last week, and then we go back to 5 days a week, just for the last week.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good work. I'll see you Monday.
Bye.
Bye-bye.